What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Allen, and this is the Movie Minute. This episode on the Movie Minute, we are talking about Hayao Miyazaki's last film, The Boy and the Heron. So, if you're wanting to know if this is worth a theater experience, stick around. I'm going to be honest, this is an emotional review for me because I truly believe this is Miyazaki's final film. The man is 82 years old, and he's given us such a rich world to explore in animation. And the work that he's done with Studio Ghibli is just incredible. And it's been inspiring to, thousands, if not millions, of artists around the world and filmmakers. And so to think that this is his final film gets me emotional. It truly does, because I appreciate his work so much. The Boy and the Heron really is an exploration of Miyazaki's legacy. He wrote this and directed it, as always, and he's looking at his life. He's looking at his legacy, and he's showing it to us on screen. The man is being so vulnerable here, which he's been vulnerable throughout his entire career. All of his movies have elements of his past. So much of his movies are about war and how do people react to war and how do they deal with it and how do they deal with how humanity treats each other and treats the world. And so much of himself is in this movie, and it's truly him exploring from several different ways what his legacy means for the world and what it really means for the future, now that he's probably not going to be making films anymore, most likely. So the plot of the film surrounds Mahito, and he's a boy who's experienced extreme loss, and he's kind of moving with his father and his future mother to go and kind of process this loss. And where he goes is this place that was kind of established by his grand uncle, they call it, or this relative, loose relative of his. And there's all of this kind of fantasy and magic involved, as with a lot of Miyazaki films. And so he goes to this place to kind of process his loss. And through that process, he meets this creator who has created these amazing worlds of fantasy. And then he has to decide, what is the legacy I want to leave with my life? Like, what do I want to do with my life? And that's really all I can say without spoiling any major plot points, because the movie truly is a commentary on where Miyazaki has found himself now at the end of his life, as a filmmaker. And it is truly emotional. So let's talk about some of the things that I loved about the film. First and foremost, as always, the visual representation on the screen is absolutely incredible. Miyazaki's one of the best people to ever do it. In terms of obviously his anime is different from like mainstream anime, but I would say this guy has put together the most consistently endearing look into the anime world that anybody has ever done. I truly believe that. It's so beautiful. It's so honoring to the culture as well. And so all of those art styles and rhythms and plot points and just how things move in the film are absolutely gorgeous. It's amazing to look at. Absolutely. I will say as well, I saw the English dub, which I normally don't like to see the English dub on his films first. But honestly, I wanted to see the film so bad, and the time I had open was the English dub. If I was going to see the Japanese, it would have been way late, and I couldn't have done it, you guys. So I saw the English dub, and it was very good. He always gets great actors to play in his films. Obviously, Batista's in it, Willem Dafoe's in it, Christian Bale's in it. He has so many great voices in this film, and they really do a great job delivering, I think, the heart of these characters, and you feel very connected to the characters throughout the film. As always, the music is very, very strong as well. I just love the audio world that Miyazaki brings us into. The sound design and the score are just so incredibly complementary of each other. It's really truly something to behold. Miyazaki has this ability for me personally to elicit nostalgia through his films. And man, I love that so much. There's so much about his films that feel lived in and real and raw that you are watching a scene and it just makes you feel like you're sitting in your grandmother's living room, you know? That's the type of things that happen to me. This is a really well-written movie. It's a very raw movie and vulnerable. Miyazaki's truly exploring his legacy here in the story, and there is sadness here, and there's regret, and there's triumph, and so there's so much exploration going on in this movie, and I really, really loved that. So I want to talk about a couple things I didn't like, because there were a few things that I didn't like, and really the main one, more than anything else, is this film takes a long time to get going, which is fairly rare, I think, actually. I mean, most of Miyazaki's films typically really ramp up quickly and throw you into the world that's bursting with color and creativity and ideas that really get you moving. The pacing in which it was told drug the movie for me a little bit. And I will also say how the movie was edited is really interesting. And I think he meant it on purpose, but it just didn't sit well with me. It was fairly confusing at times, like how he was cutting and jumping from one moment to the next to the next. And so it was a clear choice. It was a decision he made, but I didn't like it. I didn't like how non-linear it felt sometimes. This film felt fairly non-linear, which is actually atypical of Miyazaki. He doesn't typically do this in a lot of his films. So let's talk about ratings. For me, being a massive Miyazaki fan, this is really an easy 9 out of 10 for me. It's easily one of his top films just because of my appreciation for Miyazaki as a storyteller and a filmmaker. Critics rating, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 just from the little bumps here and the slow start. I just felt it could have been a little bit better structured in the beginning of the film. So averaged out 8.5 out of 10 for The Boy and the Heron. From a badge standpoint, I think this may surprise a few people, but I'm probably going to give this a couch potato for a couple reasons, and there might be some people upset at me. I think that this film, if you are a Miyazaki fan, or an anime fan, or a Studio Ghibli fan, you absolutely have to see this movie. It's like a given. You have to go see this movie. But if you're not like a big Miyazaki fan, or maybe you've only seen a couple of his films, I don't think it's necessarily something that you have to go see, and it almost might be a detriment to go see this film before you see other Miyazaki films, because so much of it, there's so much of its richness is in the history of Miyazaki. It's in the history of Studio Ghibli. And so if you don't have that history, I don't think the film can be fully appreciated. So at the end of the day, Miyazaki's last film, I mean, I'm just so thankful for him. I'm thankful for this man who devoted his entire life to creating wonderful, fantastical stories that inspired little boys like me when I was like, 10 years old and I saw Spirited Away for the first time, 10, 11 years old, and it blew me away, and it changed how I viewed art and stories and movies. And so I'm just so thankful to him. And so Miyazaki, thank you for your body of work. And I think now's the time for you to rest, man. Take some time, rest, and enjoy these twilight years of your life and just the impact you've made on so many. So if you like what you saw, hit that like button. Would love for you to subscribe. Come along this journey with me and my love for movies. And until next time, everybody, peace out.